So now I'm going to talk about something called partitioning the input domain. So we're going to start with some software under test, and it's going to have a set of possible inputs, an input domain. And of course, this input domain usually consists of so many possible test cases that there's no way we can possibly test them all. Speaking historically, what people have often been interested in is ways to partition the input domain for a piece of software under test into a number of different classes so that all of the points within each class are treated the same by the system under test. And while constructing these classes, we're allowed to look at the implementation of the software, we're allowed to look at the specification, we're allowed to use even our vague suspicions that we have. We can use anything we want in order to create these partitions. So for example, we'll have some subset of the input domain. For purposes of finding defects in the system under test, any point within that subdomain is as good as any other point within that subdomain. So basically, when testing the system, we just pick an arbitrary point, execute the system on it, look at the output, and if it's acceptable, then we're done testing that class of inputs. So now obviously in practice, sometimes this partitioning is going to fail. And by fail, I mean that this thing that we thought was a class of inputs that are all equivalent with respect to the system under test isn't really. And in fact, there was a different class hiding within this class which triggers a bug, even though the original test case didn't. And so when that happens, we can sort of blame the partitioning scheme. We can say that we improperly partitioned the input. The problem with this sort of scheme is that we can always blame the partitioning. And the unfortunate fact is that the original definition of this partitioning scheme didn't really give us extremely good guidance in how to actually do the partitioning. All it said was we had to do it. In practice, this sort of scheme hasn't worked out for large systems under test. We're talking complex software like real-time embedded systems or operating systems or other things.